Hi everyone, welcome. I did a little reorganizing of my bins and my shelves, so now the oldest of my systems, which, back over there, always gets this upper left position, the mixed red worms population. I was able to now shove these little guys into the proper location that they've earned over the course of time, taking seniority over all my other systems. 334 days in service. And you might remember in this system we did a little ping pong feeding trial for a while. The mixed red worms were getting fed in a way that their feeding location changed every time. We even had this really cool diagram which I decided to make a quick update on. I've been updating it regularly anyway, but I figured, hey, we haven't seen the diagram in a while. Why don't we take a quick look at it? The main thing here is you could see the position of the feedings have all been on this side of the bin, as the most recent one was 11 days ago of, 11 days ago, fruit and veggie assortment. So you can even see the little sneak preview of what's on the diet card today. And you know, we've been promising a haul out, so since I made space over on the far edge, I've even started trying on for size the container that I plan on deploying the worms into, but it's not built yet. Some of my ideas was to use some of this unusual bedding material I've been kind of hoarding for some time. So I figured this would be as good a time as any. Huge collection of like carton type cardboard, and for a couple of years I was putting away twine. And then I recently landed a good score of quite a bit more heavy gauge twine. So I thought that this sort of stuff might be an interesting way to set up their new home, but whether they're ready for haul out or not, I don't know. Like I said, there was a sneak preview of their feeding today on that list, and well, here it is. Lettuce and berries and coffee. So let's get the system over here on the bench, make a little space, put a glove on, and we'll see how things look. Are we or are we not nearing the time for haul out? Let's take a look. So here, 77 days ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the last time we fed on this side, 11 days ago, and today's feeding, 7th feeding going in on this side over the past 11 weeks. I actually have been treating this as sort of a wedge configuration, and if I were to just continuously keep the system up and running and never plan on removing the worms and moving them out or anything like that, then the system would just perpetually keep going. Eventually I would keep feeding on this side of the bin where the feeding zone indicator can still be found in part. And I would keep moving their finished stuff over to this edge, which over time might be left uncovered the way it was most recently, and it might start to dry out to the point where worms might not want to be in the stuff any longer. I think that was the main reason we went with uncovered finished castings last time, was because the stuff seemed quite damp. I mean, like I just took this seed over here and I crushed it and a bunch of fluid came out of it. So there's certainly a good bit of moisture over on this side. 11 days being uncovered might not have changed things a whole lot. A little bit of aeration, a little bit of opportunity to bring the more moist stuff to the surface and submerge some of the more dry stuff out on the surface, and at the same time give us a chance to sneak into the material, see how many worms are hanging out in it. So we saw a few, but not a huge amount. I would think that a continued aeration or just air drying of this side of the bin might continue to motivate our worm population to, you know, maybe head in the direction of where all those covers were. We had 2 pieces of newspaper. That third printout of the diagram doesn't really count. That wasn't on here over the past 11 days, but those 2 sheets of newspaper we removed in the beginning, as well as this third sheet of paper right here, would have served as a pretty good guard to prevent moisture from being lost to evaporation. And see, now we're definitely getting to the space in the system where the more recent feedings have been applied over the past six occasions on this side only now. And today's application on this side will be the 7th such horizontal migration feeding as far as I'm concerned, really. So here, once again, I'm just nudging what appears to me like mainly finished castings over in the direction of the section of the bin that's going to remain uncovered. And the whole idea behind that is to just make a little bit of space into which we could plop today's let's see, what is it? Seventh feeding on this edge. After 11 days since their last feeding, it does seem like they've been busy. I can see some remnants of the bedding material that we used down here. So that seems to be holding out a little bit. I can also see some of these, oops, I can't remember now, was it already broken that way? I have a couple chunks of gourd here, and whether they just became dislodged from each other right now or has it been that way for some time, I don't know. I guess it is pretty interesting because any one of these objects we could very easily just bring the diagram out, and I haven't scratched any of these things off because they're not gone yet. 209 days since the gourd was placed in here. And pumpkin with the stem, 242 days. And wait, there was another one here too. Pumpkin with the stem, 289 days. So I don't know which is which. One was in there a little bit longer than the other. But, that might be chunks of gourd. But I think we've had a good chance to check out some of the old food objects that we encountered along the way. I kind of like the idea of keeping this bedding material more over on this edge of the bin and allowing what's on this side of the bin to be classified more as clean castings. So hopefully I didn't take what was a nice clean batch of stuff and mix too much junk into it. It does seem like there's a little bit of bedding type material here and there as I plow through, but I think hopefully we've managed to, kind of segment off at least half of the material in the system so that we can simply treat that as ready to get hauled out when it's time to harvest the castings. So now I'm going to be obsessed with removing scraps of paper and any other bedding I find from the so-called finished side. So whatever, let's just deal with it, move it over. These things will submerge back down into the feeding zone. These leftover chunks of pumpkin stem, which is the older one, I don't know. This fairly nice large chunk of gourd could be accompanied with a couple other little small pieces of it. And here and there I see other things that look like they might be remnants of past feedings. This looks to me like the skin of some cantaloupe melon rind. Perhaps that's the stem of some Brussels sprout stalks. It's just interesting the things that have been fed over time, and some of the things were just really, really slow-going food items. So it's not too surprising that there's still leftovers of the stuff. And, I don't think we need to go too overboard. There's just so much good material in here already. And it's going to be time for haul out anyway soon, so all the more reason to just kind of limit what we apply as far as additional bedding to this system anymore. We'll just use a little bit down here onto which we could place today's yummy meal. Let's bring it on in. And at this point, I'm not even worried so much, about grit. I'm not even going to apply any grit today. I'm probably already looking at some material out here that has been treated with grit. And man, that every time I touch this thing, I could feel pieces of it breaking as I just bump into it. So this piece of paper right here can also go in as supplementary bedding down in the feeding zone, as can this napkin that was down here within this plastic container accompanying the yummy foods. Stuff has been out thawing now for some time, so it's becoming a little bit juicy and moist. I think the worms are going to appreciate that. This lettuce has definitely seen better days. More stuff that's going to hopefully emit some nice juiciness. Create this edge of the bin. Just create like a little haven that the worms are going to be unable to, resist heading towards. So I think we've got ourselves a nice replacement feeding zone indicator here. And I've definitely got some homework. I'd really like to do the haul out of the worms here, and it does seem to me like perhaps we could even have done it today if I had a space for them that was already prepared and ready to go, which I just didn't have done, and that's going to become my primary homework at this point. As you can see, I already started taking materials out and making space and allocating a container and everything like that, so maybe it's really just a matter of, spending just a few more minutes and getting the system for these little guys built into which we can relocate them sometime soon. But for now, it's really just an ongoing migration as far as I'm concerned. Migration of the worms out of the finished castings. Hopefully we can treat this as material that we can simply scoop out and pretty much use as is, harvest the material in effect at that point. And I'm even kind of thinking if we can nudge some of this cover over further, perhaps more of this material out here can start to get a little drier too and a little bit less appealing for the worms to want to stay in, perhaps further driving the migration. So I had this combination of sticks here propping up some of this paper, but I don't think that's necessary anymore. I think we're going to kind of leave it at this, and I guess the next check-in is really going to be hauling worms out and starting a new system. But for now, that's it for the check-in, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, I'll get this out of here, and I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.